So congratulations if you've made it to the stage. This is the concluding part of the JavaScript for backend development. And we're going to be rounding up with every other thing that we needed to know. And probably we're not going to be talking about the object-oriented programming, which is the OOP. Most framework used in JavaScript does not use the concept of object-oriented programming. So you can use the functional programming. So most people use functional programming. So you can also use functional programming. The truth is that none of them is actually better than the other. It's just for organization purpose. That is why we use the object-oriented programming. So if you want to see some videos on the object-oriented programming, you can just check out or read about it. Or maybe in the nearest future, I'll just drop a video for object-oriented programming. But trust me, you do not need it at this point, and you do not need it for any of the stuff that we'll be going through in the nearest future. Is that okay? So let's just jump into the code and get started as usual. So in this case, we're just going to be creating some files and different functions in different files as we did before now. So here is our index.js. So let's assume we'll be working on just one file. I'm going to create another file called index2. But right here, I'm just going to create a function. So I'll create a function, and then I'm going to export the function while creating it. But now let me just create a function. I'm just going to say what should I call this function? Let's just say let greet. It's just a function that is just going to say hello to everyone, and that is okay. So let function equal to this. So we're just going to call this function, and it's going to take a name, right? A name parameter. And I think I'm using the arrow function, so let me do that. So it's just going to take a name parameter, and this is what it will do. It's just a console.log. It's just going to, whatever name that you enter, it's going to say hello, that name. That is all. Hello, then I concatenate it with the name that has been entered there, right? So what this is just going to do is just going to say hello, Sylvester, hello, James, hello, BC, hello, Adams, as the case may be. So this is written here, right? If I try to run this code, I will have to call this method. For example, if I call this method, we all know how this works. If I call the method here, and the name of the method is actually called greet. So I just call the method and I put this. So what this simply means that this method has been called, then I'll pass in an argument. So the argument is just going to be my name. Of course, you know what you're expecting. It's just going to say hello, Sylvester, right? So let's check that and save it. We're running it on index file 1. So let's just clear this out, CLS, and we'll move up. So if you run this, we're just going to see hello, Sylvester. So I'm running this on this. What if I want this file? I create this file and I want to run it in another file. In other words, what we actually want to do is to be able to import and export a file. The ability to import and export a file is very important, especially when we are building very, huge program, right? We're not just going to be creating everything in a file. So we're going to be creating folders, we're going to be creating files, and we're going to be linking them all together. So that is what I actually want to walk you through in this class. So let's quickly, I'm just going to go to index, the second one, which is this. I'll just create a file here, and I'll call this index2. Index2.js, right? So in index2.js, there's nothing going to be in index2. Oh, that's a folder, not a file. Let me delete that. Okay. So I'll create a file here. So it's going to be called index2. So I'm just going to call it index2.js. Now in index2.js, this program that I did was run here. So I want to run this program right here in index2. That is, I don't want it to run here again. Rather, I want to call this function in index1. Is that okay? I want to call it in index2. So trust me, if you put this way and you try to run this in index2, it's just going to throw you a very fat error. So let's test that out. So we're trying to do that. I'm still running the previous one. And I think I have to save the second one. Sorry. Okay, so I have to save the second one. So this is index 2. So if I try to run index 2, I'm going to get a fat error, which, as you can see, I'm getting a fat error. It doesn't understand what that means. It said greet is not defined. Where did you define greet? You didn't define greet in this page. And how do you want me to see that? Is that okay? Don't forget the greet was defined here in this, in index 1. So we want to access it in index 2. So what do we have to do to be able to access it in index 2? So first we have to come back to this index 1. There are various ways to do this. So we're going to be importing these grids, exporting these grids. Now, if you do not export, none of the file can import. So this is how it works. You have to export so that it can be available for other towards other pages or other files to make use of it. So what we're going to do, there are various ways of doing it. So you can just export while you are creating this. So instead of this let method, you can just do module.export, module.export. What am I writing? So you can do module.export. Now with this module.export, it means that I don't know why it's actually popping out all this. I didn't ask you to pop out anything for me, right? Good. So we're just going to do module.export, then we say equal to, then the greet. So what we're actually doing is that we are exporting this, right? And we're equating it to this. So instead of using the let keyword, please do not do this. Do not try to do this let or const. Do not try to do that again because you've already set up this, which means that automatically it knows that you are creating a method. So you're creating it and you're exporting the method. So with this module.export, and equated to this means that this is exported to other parts. Now it has been exported. Now let's check if it's still going to work. It's going to throw us another fat error if we try to run it again. So let's not waste our time. Now, why is it throwing us a fat error if we try to run it the second time? It's because we did not import it. Now it has been exported. It is available for all pages, but we have to explicitly bring it here to use that. So how do we do that? So we can export. To export, you use require. Now the EX6, if I've configured this to, you can also do what is called the import, but let's stick to the old method. So we're going to require this. I'm just really not happy with all this pop-up. So we're going to require this. So we require this. Now, this is a method we want to require. So how do we require it? We look for the location. So we put a single quote, right? As you can see index .js. So click on that, and that is what we are actually importing. So we're importing it. Now, sometimes some people like saving that in a variable, but I'm just going to run it now. Now, it has been imported, which means that everything you have in here, right, is now available in index 2. So it now knows what this is. That means you actually created this method in here. That's what it means. So let's check out that now. So if we check out that and we run it, it's just going to say, hello, Sylvester. Now it understands. But though it wasn't created here and you're making use of it here. So that is how it works. It means that you can create so many files here and you can import it to the other one. Likewise, you can import from this to the other just as we did. So, and vice versa. Okay, let's assume I want to import from this second one. You can even import a variable. For example, this could be a variable. I'll just say module.export. Okay, before I even do that, let me show you the second way of actually doing it. So instead of this module.export, you can also do this. You can do this. You can create it, let this equal to this. Then you come in here and you say module.export. Then the name of the method that you want to export is called greet. And that is good to go. So if you check out that, you save it and you save it here. Save this here. You try to run this, it's just going to be able to figure that out and tell you what it is. So if we run this, oh, we're getting an error. Okay, for reason based note to it is not allowing us to be able to do that. So let's just stick to the former one there. Let's stick to the former one where we have this. So let's stick to that. So this is exported. So when we come in here, we can as well make use of it and everything goes on well. Is that okay? So we can export from index 2 to index 1 as well. So I want to create a file in index 1. It can even be a variable that you want to import. You can decide to import a variable. It does not have to be a method. Is that okay? But importing a variable is kind of just too little to do. Is that okay? So if this is, for example, let's assume this is a variable. I will say let name or let location equal to, let's say, Lagos. And I want to export this and access it in the first index.js. I want to access this just the way we did the other time. You can as well do this also. This is location. Let me spell right. So you can do module.export just the way you did for the former one. The module.export, then you equate it. Here we go again. Module.export. So we can do module.export, then we're just going to print, oh, here is the autofill. Why is it autofilling? Yeah, okay. I think I have to take this off. It's very annoying. Okay. Module. So module.export. You can export this location. Now, this location wasn't found here, but was created here, and we're not running it here. We want to access it in this second one. So just as you guess, we'll have to require it. So we say require. So require the location. Oh, here we go. It's printing out something else. So we require it, then the location. What do we want to require is from here. So we can bring it in here and boom, we're good to go. And we just come out here and console.log out location. Location. So we can console.log out location. Now the location was created somewhere else, but now we are printing it out here. So let's try to run it, the index 1. So in this case, we are running index 1. Okay, we are getting an error. So let's check out why we're getting error. It said greet is not a function. Do I try to run greet? Do I try to run greet in any way? Let me see that. Index 2. Okay. I'm not running this. I don't need this. This is where I'm not talking about that. Okay, so let's check out index 2. Module.export and boom. This was the previous one, and for reason best note to it is taking us back. So I'll just save it again and try to run it and see. Okay, it's taking us back and it's throwing us an error. So let's see that. It said that greet is not defined. And where I said greet Sylvester. Okay. Because I'm trying to run this, right? And it's saying that greet is not defined. So I just take this one off. I don't think I even need this for now, just for us to be able to see the other stuff that is working and keep that first. We can do everything at the same time, but for now, that's not what we want to see. As you can see, we can see Lagos here. So this is just it. The location now was created here, but was accessed here. So this is how you can create files and folders. It could be folder. Now, this index 2 that I just talked about could be folders. It could be created in a folder. So I'm just going to create a folder and force that index into the folder. Let me just call this a folder. And then I'm just going to force this one into this. Now, if I force it in, all I just need to do is just to work on the importation, right? As you can see, it has already done that itself. So the this text editor has the ability to be able to help you to do that. So for example, you do the dot, it means you're going into a folder. and you can locate that folder that I want to bring in is index. So this is how you locate that. With that, you're good to go. You can still access everything, and boom, you find your result. Okay, I think I'm getting an error here from trying to trace this. He said, okay, this does not exist, index 2. So module.export index 2. Okay, I'm trying to get index 1, and I'm trying to run index 1, not index 2. I know why it's telling us that, because I was running the wrong stuff. So in this case, I'm running index 2. I want to see the record that I had in here before now. That is this Sylvester. I want to see the result of that. Or I can even run the first one. Yeah, I think it's okay. So I want to see this from here. So if you run that, it means it's actually locating that previous one. And boom, we are good to go. So let's check that out. We're still getting that error. So what I'm just trying to say, it's quite simple. I'm going to take this off and just going to make things easy so that we don't get ourselves confused. Just going to make this easy, very simple. So this is a file. This is another file, but this file is created in this folder, right? So this file, I want to create a function in this file, and I want to create a function in this file, and I want to access it in this file. So this is the file I want to create a function. So as I said before, now I can see I'll create a function, let sum. So it could be sum, and always try to make it an arrow function anytime you're exporting. I think it's much more easier. Sometimes you do throw error when you're not using the arrow function, but sometimes. So just try to use this just to avoid any kind of error. So this is just going to be num. So whatever number we get here, we're just going to add it to 1. So console.log, whatever number that is multiplied by 2, we say 3 multiplied by whatever number that is entered here, which is num, and it's going to print out the results. Now, we are not going to be checking out the results here. We created it in index 2. This is index 2. Now, we want to access it in index 1. So what do? We have to export this, right? So to export, we just do a module, then dot export. And we're just going to undo this mess. Yeah. Module.export. So it means that we've exported this now, and we want to access it from this file. This is the file that I want to access it from, right? So let's check it out. We created it here. So for us to be able to access it, we have to require. So require. Now, where is this located? It's located in a folder, right? So for that, we're just going to put a single quote. Now, if you do a / like this, you can see a folder, right? And click on that folder, right? Because that's where it is located. Then inside of it, you can see index 2, right? So that's what we're trying to actually import. We're trying to bring this to this. Is that okay? So we're importing it, we're bringing it to index 1. So it means it is available. And that which I created before, which is called sum, has already been created. It's already living here. So I can just do that and say sum. I can call the method called sum, and I will put in my values. I can put it 5, and you know what it's going to do? It's just going to multiply it by whatever I placed in there. So let's run that now. So this is available on this second file. So if we run this, index 2, we run. Okay, I'm on index 1, so I'm still running index 2. So if I run index 1, which is index.js, okay, I'm getting some error. Okay, yeah, it's working. I'm getting 15, right? Which means that whatever I entered here is just going to print it out. It's going to multiply it by 3. So if I enter 1, 2, 3 here, right, it's just going to multiply it by 3, and it's going to tell me what the value is. As you can see, this was created somewhere X. It was created here, and I'm making use of it right here. So these are some of the stuff that is very important for us to know in this section. So we're just going to make things a little bit much more. Now this time we're going to learn how to write and read file in Node.js. It's also very important for our backend development. So let's go into that quickly. So very simple. I'll just walk you through the module for writing files and for for file manipulation. So there's a module that is called the fs. You're going to require that module, then you'll be able to write our files right quickly. So that's what we're going to do. So for example, we can require the fx and we'll store it in a variable. So I'm just going to say let fx. I'm just going to store it all const. Let me call it let fs because I'm not sure. I might be changing some setting stuff equal to. So we require fx. So this time we require the fx. So the fs actually means the file system. It's a file system module that is built in, in JavaScript. So it actually makes it easy to write files and to manipulate files. So we're just going to be looking at some very simple ones. The first one we're going to do is to create a new empty file using the open method. So we can create a new empty file using the open method. Is that okay? And we can also write into a particular file. So if you see the W stands for the write. Is that okay? It's a very simple method. If you want to open, you say fs.open. If you want to write, you say fx.write. So yeah, there are the methods. A lot of methods that are used in it. So first of all, I'm just going to start with the create method, the rename, the create, the update. So very simple. So for example, you want to create a method. I think I have that point where we will write in the method. Okay. Yeah. We want to create a method. There are lots of stuff that we can actually use. You want to read a file that already exists. You can use the fs.read. It's just a method, the fs.read. Then you pass in your callback function. And boom, you are good to go. You're already reading what you have in that file. So if you look at this, for example, we want to create a server. HTTP to create a server. Very soon we'll talk about that, not now. So I'm just going to skip that one for now. So we can write, we can create, we can read. So you can see this fs.append, fs.open, fs.write file. So I'm just going to concentrate on the fs.write file. I'll start with the fs.write file quickly. Let's look at that. fs.writeFile. Here we go. If you want to write the file, you just say file system.writeFile. So there's a method for it. Then you choose, you write, the first parameter is going to be the name of your file, then the content of your file. The third one is a callback function. And at present, you can choose to skip that callback function. I just tag it with the dot then if you're actually, not ready to write the callback function. Is that okay? And the callback function takes in the error and boom, you're just going to write it. It's create a file for you. So we're going to jump into that quickly. I have to take you through that because of documentation, so you can also learn how to read documentation. So according to what we said, what we had there was fx dot so it's called, now there are different kind of write file. There's write file and sync. There's write file. Is that okay? So if I use the write find sync, I'm not going to be putting all the, I'm not going to be writing the callback function. So I can just do this write file sync and here I go. So this is the first one I want to use. The name of the file I want to create. So I'm actually doing this in index 2. So the name of the file I want to create, I'll just call this a file and the extension is going to be .txt. And trust me, this is going to be in a single quote. Is that okay? So we'll put this in a single quote. So that's the name of the file that I want to put it in. Then the content of the file is just going to be here. So what do we want to put in the content of the file is just to say, hello file, this is from Sylvester. So we're having this. So we can just create this and boom, they are good to go. So when you're done doing this, you can just console.log out if you wish to tag it. In this case, I'm not trying to tag anything. So I can save this one right away in a variable, right? I can say let's create file equal to. So I don't know if there's it's like there is, there is something that looks like this. a keyword that looks like this. So let's just say create file. So you can do this. Then I can tag it with the dot then. If you wish to, say dot then method, right? Then we just bring in our arrow function and boom, we are good to go. So if there's any error, you can take the parameter called error, right? If there's any error, so if there's error, it will throw error. You can write an if statement to throw the error. And if we don't want to throw the error, we can just console.logout. And if we don't wish to do that, just console.logout. We'll say saved. Saved. So right, we go. So we can run that quickly and just do boom. You can see it has already been created. A file was just created called file.txt. So if you check the file, you can see hello file, this is from Sylvester. Now, one way or the other, we are getting an error from here because I actually did something quite funny. So I used the dot then method and it's asking me why am I using the dot then method because this is very undefined. Since I've already said that this is sync, so I do not necessarily have to use that. And that was why it threw that error, but yet it still works, right? So this is it. In order for you to correct that, you just take off all this that I created here. And this is good to go. You can see the file has been created. This file never existed here, so it was just created and some record was added to it. Temporarily, you can store some record in a file. Just imagine you're trying to create an application and you're not using a database. So you can decide to store some data into your files. For example, let's assume you're creating a Bible, right? In a Bible application, and you don't want them to be connected to the internet before they'll be able to access each verse. So you can create a file and you put in all the JSON data into this, and you can easily access this. So this is how you write. So you can as well read as well. Just the way we're able to write, we can read as well. So it's very simple to do that. So I think I'm just going to leave that for you to do because it's quite simple. So as I said before, now you can just use the sync method and everything goes on well without any issues. So you can decide to append file, right? So what this means is that append, this is my file to the end of the file. New file. So you can decide to append. What it means is that appending means that you have written something before now. Is that okay? You want to add more stuff into it. Let's assume I want to add more stuff into what I've written before. So I'm just going to take this, copy this quickly and paste it here. Because it's almost the same thing with what we've done before now. So we're just going to do this. Yeah, I know you like mine because it's just short. So you can do this. And here they just back it up with some kind of an if statement. If the first one is not working, then this is what it means. Append file. And the file that I want to append, this first file, what's the name of this file? A file that I created. I want to append a text to it. So this is the same file that I'm going to be using now. So I'm just going to append a text to it. So I'll call it append that. So it's going to be a file.txt. And then this is the record I'm just going to put. I'll just say this is the new test. This is a new test. So you can do that. Then this is a callback function. Don't forget, just the way we have the append file, the append file, we can also have append file sync. I'll look for that. Can you see that append file sync? So if you have that, there's no need for all this stored parameter. So you can just leave everything like this and you're good to go. So you're just going to append that right away. So let's do that. I'm going to save it, then I'll take this one off so that we don't end up trying to create another file. So I'll take that off. Then I'll run this again. I'll move down to this place. Okay. Okay, index dot am I in the right place here? Index.js. So let's try to run that quickly. So node index, boom. So let's go check what we have in here. In this file that we created before a test, let's check it out. Can you see that this is new test? So I just added more file to it. Is that okay? So this is for file manipulation, right? Just the way we can able to, write file, add more content to a certain file that we've created before. We can also, delete a certain file. We can delete a file. We can read a file. Is that okay? So let's quickly look at that one after the other. So if you go back to your documentation right here, you find out that you can actually write a file, right? Okay, I think we have done the writing of the file. Enough of the writing. Then you can take off the file that you don't want. How do you do it? You just unlink it. Very simple. So let's assume I want to delete this file. Is that okay? So when you're trying to delete a file and this file, let's assume I want to delete this file. This is this file here. I want to delete it. So to delete it, I'm just going to use the unlink. So I'm just going to say fs.unlink. fs.unlink. Right? So we also have unlink and sync so that I don't stress myself. So what do I want to actually unlink? You put the name of the file that you want to take off. Is that okay? So this is the name of the file that you want to take off. You want to unlink this. In this case, I want to unlink this file. It's called a file.txt. So I'm just going to put that there. So it's a file.txt. So that's what I want to unlink. Just hope it's spelled properly. No. I think it's not spelled properly. Capital letter F. So for this, I'm just going to take this off for now. I'll comment this out. So if I try to run this now, just take a look at this. Try to run this. This is just going to help me to unlink that. So as you can see, it has deleted the file. The file no longer exists. So that's it. So you can unlink a particular file. You may want to ask, what if the file is found in a folder? Please go to the location where the file is and unlink it. Then let's assume that this file that I have in here, I have a folder here, right? And there's a file here called index2.js, and I want to unlink this index. So the location of this index2.js is actually in a folder. So if I try to do that, I think it's going to give me where the direction I'm heading to. I'll go to the folder. Then the file that I actually want to unlink is called this file. So that's what I want to take off. I want to take off that file. That's index2.js. So if I save that and I try to run this, and boom, it's going to take that off, as you can see. So if you check that folder, you're not going to see anything in there. So you can unlink your file, right? This unlinking is very important when you're trying to delete something from the database. For example, you're putting an image, because most images are not actually stored in the database. What you actually do is that you store them in a folder, then you store the data, that is the name of the image, in a data base. And when you want to delete the database, you actually select the image from the database and you look for the image that have the same name with the one that is on the big folder. And what you do is just to unlink it. And that is exactly what we are doing here. So the unlink is to take off whatever you have in there. As I said before now, we're not going to be touching everything. We can't possibly do everything. So you can come here and try it yourself. You can rename as well. You can rename. For example, you already have a file. You can rename the file. And this is the name of the file. You can decide to rename the file to something else that you want. And boom, you're good to go. Maybe a file is called file1. You can rename it to file2. It's very simple to actually do this. And I hope we actually understand this concept. Or should we just run that on that rename? Okay, let's quickly change run that rename. So here we have a file called index.js. Oh, that's the file I'm actually writing my code. So let me create another file. So I'm just going to create it outside here, not in here. I'll just create it here. So I'll just call this file.txt. So I'll just say blah, blah. So there's nothing in this file anyway, just that little text. So what I want to do is we want to rename that file. So this file doesn't bear this name anymore. So to rename the file, I will just comment this off, right? We're just going to say fs.rename. So we're going to have fs.rename. And that is what we want to do. And fs.rename, I think there should be rename as sync. There's no rename as sync. Okay, rename, yeah, rename sync. So I want to rename it. So what do I want to rename? I want to rename this file that is called fs. So this is the file that I want to rename, file.txt. Then I want to rename it to something else. I want to rename it to new file.txt. So that's what I want to call it. So I'm trying to rename that. So let's check our documentation again and be very sure that that is what we are actually putting in that place. So let's take a look at this. So this is the file. It's a replace the content of the file, my name.txt. So this is it. And with a new, text. Oh, that's rewrite. I'm talking about renaming. So the renaming is going to be the first. I think we've done it well. We've done the right thing. So let's just quickly go on so we don't waste time on this video. So let's look at this and run this. So if we run this, you check out that. You can see the name has been changed to new file.txt, no longer that old name anymore, right? And if you check out, you still have the same stuff in here. The file has been changed. So this is just for file manipulation. And hope you are actually coping with all that we are teaching you. So as I said before, now this is the concluding part of it. So quickly, I'm just going to show you something enough of the file system, and I'm going to round up with all this quickly. So here we go. In this file system, I will take this off, and I will take this off as well. I'll take this off as well. So in this file system, I'm just going to take off this off. I don't need a file system. So I'm just going to be showing you what is called the set interval and the set timeout. So if you create a function and you want the function to run at a certain time or at a certain interval, it's just going to run at a certain interval. So let's assume I create a function, and this is a function. This is a function, and I call this function hi. That's what I want to call the function. And don't mind my naming convention. not really the best. So hi, that's the name of the function. And this function does nothing but just to say console.log hi. That's what it does. So we're just going to put in hi. So once it's so we want this to set it into what is called interval. We want this to be running at a certain interval. So there is a built-in method in JavaScript called set interval. It's called set interval. So as you can see, it's set interval. This is the structure of the set interval. So the structure of the set interval is just going to be the interval, the time that you want the code to run, right? And that is where this interval is going to be, right? So I want it to run in every 3 seconds. So that's when we put 3 milliseconds. So 3000 milliseconds make 3 seconds. So that is the interval you want that to run. And the code that you actually want to run is this function called hi. So you want this function called hi to be running at this interval. So we're just going to say hi. That's what is going to be running. So we'll call that method in here, that function in here. So this is just going to be running at a certain interval. So let's do that now. I run this. So we'll run this, we'll wait 3 seconds. It's going to run hi. We'll wait another 3 seconds again before it to say hi. Hi. Keep on waiting for 3 seconds. After 3 seconds, it's going to be printing out the hi. That's called the set interval. So you must have written a program and you want this program to be running at a certain interval. So you can put that program, wrap it up in what is called the set interval. So we also have what is called the set timeout. Just we have the set interval, we have the set timeout built in into JavaScript as well. So let's call set timeout. Now you see that set interval that we talked about is always very important when it comes to timing, when it comes to date and time. So you can actually use it to manipulate your date and you can use it to manipulate your time. So we also have what is called the set timeout. So this is the set timeout function. So with the set timeout function, you have all this. So you have the set timeout, the set interval. So let's quickly look at that. And with the set timeout, you can just run a certain code that you want it to run. So let's put that code. Hi is what we want to run, right? And the set timeout, we want it to run in the next 5 seconds. So what that means is that it's just going to wait until 5 seconds before it runs. So it's a delay tactics. It's a way of delaying your program to run. So if you want your program to run, you don't just want the program to run immediately, or somebody comes to your side, you don't just want to trigger the person with a certain message. So you say, okay, you wait for a time, a period of time, maybe 30, 60 seconds, or maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes before you prompt the person to do a particular thing. So you can put that in what is called the set timeout. So I'm running that now, and it's just going to wait for 5 seconds before that program runs. And once it's run, it's not going to run again. 5 seconds is completed and it's not going to run again. That is the difference. You can see if it was to be set interval, it will be running every 5 seconds. But the set timeout is just going to delay it for 5 seconds. And when it is time for it to run, it will run right away. And these are some of the stuff that we are looking at in here. Okay. I hope you're enjoying the lessons, and we are actually rounding up soon. Okay, we're looking at the date objects quickly in JavaScript. That's what we're actually looking at, the date object. So we're going to be looking at the time and the date, and that is what we're looking at. Very simple stuff to actually deal with. And you want to create a date. Imagine you just say new date and you console.log out date. Boom, you already have the date. But that date is going to come out in a way that you will not really understand. So let me take this for example. I'm taking this off. And I'm going to just, okay, in my index.1, I'm just going to say, let's date equal to, now, the date is a class. This is not the first time we're using the new method, new keyword. So we're going to say new date, right? So we're saying new date and boom, we are good to go. This is exactly what we're trying to bring out here. So this is new date. So for us to be able to print out this new date, we just console.log at the date. For example, we say console.log at the date. So what did I say the date is? The date is a class. So we're making a method out of a class. And that is exactly what we're doing. So we're printing out this date. So let's check out our record now, our results. So if we go in here, we try to CLS, we try to clean it, then take that off and run this, I think, index. So you can see the current date that we are. This is the current date that I'm making this video, blah, 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 blah. So that is how you can get your current date. There are other methods which we might not likely be looking at now. You can come in here and check out some of the documentations. It's just self-explanatory. You can see when you try to print out the date, you want to print out the month as well. You can get the month. So you just do the dots, get month. You create a new date. So I just want to show you some of them. The way you want the dates to be, and then the date formatting, whatever kind of format that you want, you can format it to whatever you want it to be. So if you come down to the date formatting, you can format your date to actually what you want it to be. And that is, how do you want your date to look like the other one? You can see the way it was looking like. So you can take it to the localstring, you can take it to short date, you can take it to iOS date, you can take it to long date, March this, blah, 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 2015, and so on and so forth. So these are all available on the documentation. So you can read of the documentation and see more on how to actually manipulate. Very simple stuff to do. It's not a big deal at all, trust me. So I have actually introduced you to the first part. So you can see these are some of the documentation, some of the things that you can do with it. You can do the try it yourself as well. Check out all the stuff that you could do. Then you could get the method. I think this is the part that is also very important. There are methods in dates, just the way we have methods in our data types. So you can get the full year, you can get the month, you can get the date, you can get this, you can get the time. It's very easy to do. So let's say, for example, I want to get the full year, or I want to get the time. So I can do that right here. This is, I just said date. Let's assume I want to get the month. I can say dot get. You can see there is time. Dot get time, dot get month, dot get day, dot get hour. I want to get the hour that we are now. So if I try to do that, I'm trying to print that out. It's going to tell me the hour that we are now. It can tell me the hour. So dot get hour, and it's printing out. Oh. It's a method, so I have to put my parentheses. Okay. So we can save that, and it's just going to tell me the hour that we are now. You can see we're in the 14th hour. That means it's around 2 p.m. right? You want to get the time, you want to get anything you want to get. You want to get the minute dot get. So you can get full name, you can get full day, you can get hour, you can get full minutes. What minute are we at present now? You can get that. You can actually use this. This is what you can use to actually manipulate or create your time. For example, you have a quiz. You can use it to create your time and manipulate the time and say this quiz should stop at X and Y time. Okay, this is exactly what we have. And I think this is good enough. You can go back to the documentation and read this up. The other class that we have is actually the math method. The math method is also very simple. With the math method, you can make do some exploits as well.